Treaty of Ghent of 1814, Treaty of Peace and Amity between His Britannic Majesty and the United States of America. His Britannic Majesty and the United States of America desirous of terminating the war which has unhappily subsisted between the two countries, and of restoring upon principles of perfect reciprocity, peace, friendship, and good understanding between them, have for that purpose appointed their respective plenipotentiaries, that is to say, His Britannic Majesty on his part has appointed the Right Honourable James Lord Gambier, late Admiral of the White, now Admiral of the Red Squadron of His Majesty's Fleet, Henry Goulburn Esquire, a member of the Imperial Parliament and Under Secretary of State, and William Adams Esquire, Doctor of Civil Laws, and the President of the United States, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate thereof, has appointed John Quincy Adams, James A. Bayard, Henry Clay, Jonathan Russell, and Albert Gallatin, citizens of the United States, who, after a reciprocal communication of their respective full powers, have agreed upon the following articles. Article the First. There shall be a firm and universal peace between His Britannic Majesty and the United States, and between their respective countries, territories, cities, towns, and people, of every degree without exception of places or persons. All hostilities both by sea and land shall cease as soon as this treaty shall have been ratified by both parties as hereinafter mentioned. All territory, places, and possessions whatsoever taken by either party from the other during the war, or which may be taken after the signing of this treaty, excepting only the islands hereinafter mentioned, shall be restored without delay, and without causing any destruction, or carrying away any of the artillery, or other public property originally captured in the said forts or places, and which shall remain therein upon the exchange of the ratifications of this treaty, or any slaves, or other private property, and all archives, records, deeds, and papers, either of a public nature, or belonging to private persons, which in the course of the war may have fallen into the hands of the officers of either party, shall be, as far as may be practicable, forthwith restored and delivered to the proper authorities and persons to whom they respectively belong. Such of the islands in the Bay of Passamaquoddy as are claimed by both parties shall remain in the possession of the party in whose occupation they may be at the time of the exchange of the ratifications of this treaty, until the decision respecting the title to the said islands shall have been made in conformity with the 4th article of this treaty. No disposition made by this treaty as to such possession of the islands and territories claimed by both parties shall in any manner whatever be construed to affect the right of either. Article the 2nd. Immediately after the ratifications of this treaty by both parties as hereinafter mentioned, orders shall be sent to the armies, squadrons, officers, subjects, and citizens of the two powers to cease from all hostilities, and to prevent all causes of complaint which might arise on account of the prizes which may be taken at sea, after the said ratifications of this treaty. It is reciprocally agreed that all vessels and effects which may be taken after the space of 12 days, from the said ratifications, upon all parts of the coast of North America, from the latitude of 23 degrees north to the latitude of 50 degrees north, and as far eastward, in the Atlantic Ocean, as the 36th degree of west longitude, from the meridian of Greenwich, shall be restored on each side, that the time shall be 30 days in all other parts of the Atlantic Ocean north of the equinoctial line or equator, and the same time for the British and Irish channels, for the Gulf of Mexico, and all parts of the West Indies, 40 days for the North Seas, for the Baltic, and for all parts of the Mediterranean 60 days, for the Atlantic Ocean south of the equator as far as the latitude of the Cape of Good Hope, 90 days, for every other part of the world south of the equator, and 120 days, for all other parts of the world without exception. Article the 3rd. All prisoners of war taken on either side as well by land as by sea shall be restored as soon as practicable after the ratifications of this treaty as hereinafter mentioned, on their paying the debts which they may have contracted during their captivity. The two contracting parties respectively engage to discharge in specie the advances which may have been made by the other for the sustenance and maintenance of such prisoners. Article the 4th. Whereas it was stipulated by the 2nd article in the Treaty of Peace of 1783 between His Britannic Majesty and the United States of America that the boundary of the United States should comprehend all islands within 20 leagues of any part of the shores of the United States and lying between lines to be drawn due east from the points where the aforesaid boundaries between Nova Scotia on the one part and East Florida on the other shall respectively touch the Bay of Fundy and the Atlantic Ocean, excepting such islands as now are, or heretofore have been within the limits of Nova Scotia, and whereas the several islands in the Bay of Passamaquoddy, which is part of the Bay of Fundy, and the island of Grand Menan, in the said Bay of Fundy, are claimed by the United States as being comprehended within their aforesaid boundaries, which said islands are claimed as belonging to His Britannic Majesty, as having been at the time of and previous to the aforesaid treaty of 1783 within the limits of the province of Nova Scotia. In order therefore finally to decide upon these claims, it is agreed that they shall be referred to 2 commissioners to be appointed in the following manner, viz. 1 commissioner shall be appointed by His Britannic Majesty, and 1 by the President of the United States, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate thereof, and the said 2 commissioners so appointed shall be sworn impartially to examine and decide upon the said claims according to such evidence as shall be laid before them on the part of His Britannic Majesty and of the United States respectively. The said commissioners shall meet at St. Andrews, in the province of New Brunswick, and shall have power to adjourn to such other place or places as they shall think fit. The said commissioners shall by a declaration or report, under their hands and seals, decide to which of the 2 contracting parties the several islands aforesaid do respectively belong in conformity with the true intent of the said treaty of peace of 1783. And if the said commissioners shall agree in their decision, both parties shall consider such decision as final and conclusive. It is further agreed that in the event of the 2 commissioners differing upon all or any of the matters so referred to them, or in the event of both or either of the said commissioners refusing, or declining, or willfully omitting to act as such, they shall make jointly or separately a report or reports as well to the government of His Britannic Majesty as to that of the United States, stating in detail the points on which they differ, and the grounds upon which their respective opinions have been formed, or the grounds upon which they, or either of them, have so refused, declined, or omitted to act. And His Britannic Majesty and the government of the United States hereby agree to refer the report or reports of the said commissioners to some friendly sovereign or state, to be then named for that purpose, and who shall be requested to decide on the differences which may be stated in the said report or reports, or upon the report of 1 commissioner together with the grounds upon which the other commissioner shall have refused, declined, or omitted to act as the case may be. And if the commissioner so refusing, declining, or omitting to act shall also willfully omit to state the grounds upon which he has so done in such manner, that the said statement may be referred to such friendly sovereign or state together with the report of such other commissioner, then such sovereign or state shall decide ex parse upon the said report alone, and His Britannic Majesty and the government of the United States engage to consider the decision of such friendly sovereign or state to be final and conclusive on all the matters so referred. Article the 5th. Whereas neither that point of the Highlands lying due north from the source of the river St. Croix, and designated in the former treaty of peace between the 2 powers as the northwest angle of Nova Scotia, nor the northwesternmost head of Connecticut River has yet been ascertained, and whereas that part of the boundary line between the dominions of the 2 powers which extends from the source of the river St. Croix directly north to the above-mentioned northwest angle of Nova Scotia, thence along the said highlands which divide those rivers that empty themselves into the river St. Lawrence, from those which fall into the Atlantic Ocean, to the northwesternmost head of Connecticut River, thence down along the middle of that river to the 45th degree of north latitude, thence by a line to west on said latitude, until it strikes the river Iroquois or Cataraqui, has not yet been surveyed. It is agreed that for these several purposes 2 commissioners shall be appointed, sworn, and authorized to act exactly in the manner directed with respect to those mentioned in the next preceding article, unless otherwise specified in the present article. The said commissioners shall meet at St. Andrews, in the province of New Brunswick, and shall have power to adjourn to such other place or places as they shall think fit. The said commissioners shall have power to ascertain and determine the points above mentioned in conformity with the provisions of the said treaty of peace of 1783, and shall cause the boundary aforesaid from the source of the river St. Croix to the river Iroquois or Cataraqui to be surveyed and marked according to the said provisions. the said commissioners shall make a map of the said boundary, and annex to it a declaration, under their hands and seals certifying it to be the true map of the said boundary, and particularizing the latitude and longitude of the northwest angle of Nova Scotia, of the northwesternmost head of Connecticut River, and of such other points of the said boundary as they may deem proper. And both parties agree to consider such map and declaration as finally and conclusively fixing the said boundary, and in the event of the said two commissioners differing, or both, or either of them refusing, declining, or willfully omitting to act, such reports, declarations, or statements shall be made by them or either of them, and such reference to a friendly sovereign or state shall be made in all respects, as in the latter part of the fourth article is contained, and in as full a manner as if the same was herein repeated.